All right, one last call for recording privileges before we start. I don't see any. Coach, we've got a couple of players of the week this week after the win at Rutgers. So we'll go ahead and let you open up with an opening statement, then we'll open up for questions.
Fair enough. Yes, as you said, Ken, first off, it's good to have a player of the week. You know, we only officially give those out when we win the football game, but it's pretty easy to see who the players of the week were this week. Isaiah Williams, of course, on offense, Jake Hansen on defense, and James McCourt with special teams. Definitely a team effort, which it normally is when you win the football game. Defensive, we need to take the ball away, and of course, we can keep an opponent under 20 points. We haven't done a good job defensively on third down conversions, but we did a lot better job this week with that. Offensively, of course, Isaiah kind of gave us a spark, as did Chase Brown and offensive line. So many things. We also did a good job on third downs offensively of, keeping drives going. And special teams wise, we had some core players that stepped up. Kendall Smith getting a couple big special teams tackles. And of course, James McCourt finishing it up. Had a couple injuries from the game. Alex Palczewski, of course, went down. We'll continue to monitor him. But again, we're pumped up, which leads us to this game this week against Nebraska. They put a lot of points on the board against us the last couple of years we played them. We played them tough last year, of course, but weren't able to get the win. Looking forward to going to Lincoln and playing them this year. I'll take your questions.
Okay, Bob, Coach, just to clarify, I know that those are your team players of the week. I'm assuming the Big Ten recognized Isaiah and James McCourt in their respective areas. So those were that was a recognition I was referencing, but I know you have your own team player of the weeks as well.
Yeah, information kind of comes to us on game week a little bit later. That's good to. The Big Ten, Big Ten sees it the same way we did, and of course, adding Jake along to that. But seriously, whenever you can get a Big Ten award, it says an awful lot. We know how good players are in our conference, but those two guys are definitely deserving for sure.
All right, Bob Asmussen leading off, Scott Beatty on deck, and Bob Rosenthal in the hole. Go ahead, Bob.
Coach, when you looked at the film, how did it look with Doug Kramer back in there, moving Kendrick back to guard? Tell me the difference, what that looked like to you.
Well, Bob, it looked the way, we've seen that picture we've seen quite a few times. Doug Kramer is an excellent football player. So to get Kendrick back in his rightful position, both of those guys, of course, played well, which they normally do. In order for us to have the type of rushing game that we had, the offensive line needs to be solid. And when you lose a player like when you lose a player like Alex Palczewski and have a guy like Julian Pearl step up like that is saying an awful lot too.
And Coach, Doug lives with Brandon Peters, I believe. Was that concerning for you that he was, around a guy that had been sick? Or were they able to separate a little bit?
No, they've been able to separate a little bit, but a lot of our guys have, most of our guys have roommates, and a lot of the guys live together. It's unfortunate that a couple of our players were knocked out for a period of time, but that's in the past. Everybody's here, healthy and ready to go now.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Scott, you're up. Bob Rosenthal on deck.
Hey, Lovie, Rutgers, you mentioned the 20 points, and they scored their 2 touchdowns on big plays. I know you don't want to give up the big plays, but is that actually a sign of encouragement or progress that you only kind of got stung on a couple of individual plays?
Well, just kind of is your glass half full or half empty? If I'm saying it's half empty, that's just disappointing. When you play a game like that and give up 2 big plays like that, I mean, first off, 4th and 3, a fade route. You can't give up a fade for a touchdown on 4th and 3. And really the long touchdown pass that we gave up, you know, looking at it from Illinois' point of view, it should have been an interception and we run into each other. But if you do take those plays away, we did a lot of good things throughout the day. Guys played hard.
And you referenced the points that Nebraska's put up on you, and Nebraska's pointing out the over 600 yards in the last couple of games too that they've put up against you. How does that come out different this time around?
And that's why we're going to play the game. It's kind of obvious. It's on record what they've done to us the last couple of times we played them. We haven't played well enough. They played outstanding football the last couple of times we played against them. That's why we're anxious to see if we can slow them down just a little bit more than we have in the past.
And finally, they've been cycling through quarterbacks a little bit. What have you seen out of McCaffrey, and what are you expecting out of their offense to get ready for it?
Well, no one has cycled through quarterbacks more than we have, but it's good to see somebody else playing more than one guy. Martinez probably is, he's probably going to Scott and saying, "Hey, coach, those numbers you just brought up, 2,000 yards or whatever they put up against us. Martinez was leading that, so I'm sure he's kind of anxious to play us again this year." But seriously, McCaffrey is an excellent football player. He had the same type of effect that Isaiah had on our football team this week. But again, he can pass the football. He's good in space. It's just a different dimension when you have a guy like that leading their offense, which causes a lot of problems in itself. So it'll be a big challenge for us this week.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay, Bob Rosenthal, Jeremy, and then Alec. Go ahead, Bob.
Coach, I'm curious about the quarterback decision this week. You have a player who won the, freshman of the week in the Big Ten and obviously had a great game, but you've got a senior starter coming back. How do you approach that? Will you go with two guys? I know you're not going to name a starter or anything, but how are you looking at that after Isaiah's performance?
Well, I mean, you kind of answered all your questions. I can't listen to all your comments. Is there a question in there?
Yeah, name your starting
the rest of you want to keep going with your comments, some more suggestions, or exactly what we're looking for here?
I want to know how you're approaching a decision of a quarterback who, may have to go to the bench after a performance like that.
Well, what I see is that we have our starting quarterback that's been out and he's available this week. That's a good option. What I also saw is what our other quarterback was able to do this week. Of course, I'm not going to, say what our game plan would be. I would say that we have, some good options going into this week. That's what I would say. And we're excited about that. We haven't practiced yet this week, so we can't wait to get on the practice field. We have a good plan as we go in Nebraska this week.
And how much are you involved in that decision with Rod on, say maybe
Right.
in the game of switching quarterback?
As a head football coach, all decisions go through me. Let's make that clear. All right. So I'm involved. Everything good and bad that's happened around here comes through me. Other questions?
That's it.
All right, Jeremy, you're up. Alec on deck. Matt Stevens in the hole.
Lovie, just a similar question I had last week. When can Brandon start practicing this week?
You say when? When the team practices.
Okay. So he's good to go regardless. And I wanted to ask you, is there anything specifically about Scott Frost's offense that is difficult to defend given what they've done the last couple of years?
That's where is there anything different about it? I mean, they have a good offense that put up a whole lot of yards against us. Different about it. They run a spread offense and they ran it well against us.
And then tackling was really good for you guys last week. Is there anything you did in practice or anything you saw in practice that foretold that?
We practice hard each week. Sometimes we make the tackles and sometimes we don't. And it's kind of simple as that. We've been practicing every week that we miss tackles. We practice a lot the week before. Sometimes you keep going and you do better at the things that you've been working on in practice. And that's what we'll try to do this week is you keep setting the bar each week. Hopefully we can take it to another level this week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Alec, you're up. Matt Stevens on deck.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're having a good day. First question I guess I have is kind of relies around Kalon Tolson and his play Saturday. I know that you probably had a chance to watch the film. What do you think evaluating his film allowed him to kind of play a little bit better on Saturday?
You say, I mean, that you say you think I had a chance to watch the film. Is that what you said? Yeah,
Yeah,
I did. And you said Kalon Tolson. What was that again?
Yeah, he seemed to play pretty well, had a couple of big plays Saturday against Rutgers. Can you just kind of evaluate that a little bit?
Yeah, he did have a good day. He's been consistent. We've asked him to play a lot of positions while he's been here this year. Kalon's a smart player with athletic ability, and he did. I thought he was more aggressive, more physical in the run this past week. Doesn't surprise me. You know, Milo Eifler went down in Friday's practice, last play of Friday's practice. So Kalon didn't get any reps of the week. To be able to play like that was pretty encouraging.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Matt Stevens, then Colin, you're on deck.
Couple of house cleaning issues. Like I wanted to ask you about Milo. I know he went down late in that Friday practice. Is there some optimism that he could be ready this week, and that it's not a long-term type of injury situation?
He's getting better. As you saw, he was on the sideline. He made the trip with us. Couldn't play this past week. He's been getting a lot of treatment. We don't know what his availability would be for this week. But if not, Kalon will step in like he did last time, but it's not a season-ending injury or anything like that.
Same kind of question about Jamal Woods. I know he's probably getting better, but is there some optimism about him being available for your defensive line this week?
Optimism, yeah, absolutely. He is getting better. I don't know if you're able to see him also. Both of the guys are getting better. We're able to go this week. We'll see how it goes this coming week. We'll need all hands on deck, of course.
And the last thing, I apologize if I'm partialing your words, but I noticed in refers to Robert's question that you mentioned Brandon as your starting quarterback, or at least referred to him as our starting quarterback. Do I read anything into that, or
I'm not going to get into any of that either. The word choices and things like that. What I said is that our starting quarterback, which was Brandon, hasn't played, and he's back this week. We had Isaiah Williams. While Brandon wasn't here, they went in and played outstanding ball this week is what I said. That's what I'm saying right now. I also said that gives us great options at the quarterback position since we played 4 quarterbacks this year. That's what I said.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Colin, you're up. Joey Wagner on deck.
Lovie, I wanted to, wanted to ask you about a couple of local products you got in the game. You mentioned Julian Pearl already, but why was he kind of the next guy up? What has he shown you in practice? What did he show you during that game that make you feel comfortable maybe utilizing him more if Alex is out for a longer term?
At every position, we have a guy that's a backup, and in order to become a backup, you've gone through, weight training, classroom work, and then just your play on the football field that we take all of our linemen through, and then we make evaluation on how the depth chart plays out. And when an injury happens, it's the next guy up. Julian has done a lot of good things. We've seen a lot of improvement, move from the defensive line to making a commitment to become a good offensive lineman, and you wait for your opportunity. And opportunity-wise, he stepped in, and we able to keep our offense going. So that's what gives us optimism about going forward is what we've seen from him and a limited amount of action, but he had good plays this past week. If he has to go this week, feel comfortable playing it.
And I don't think this individual got as many reps, but Bryce Barnes seeing some action on the defensive line. I know he's been a special teams guy in the past, but what did you like that you saw from him to get him some D-line reps?
In order to get that, again, it goes back to what you do in practice. And Bryce has been outstanding in every role we put him in. He walked on and he earned playing time, and he earned more playing time. First playing time for what he's done on the special teams. And, with Jamal Woods going down and a few more injuries that we had on the defensive line, he took advantage of his opportunity, and he had some good plays for us this past week.
Thanks, Lovie.
That goes this week. Thank you.
Okay, Joey Wagner, Doug Bouchon on deck.
Hey, Lovie, you have guys on the defense. You know, Jake has played inside linebacker, outside. You have Tony Adams, who has switched from corner to safety. What's that, and nickel? What's that really say about some of those guys and that versatility to kind of patch up, some areas when they need patching?
Well, I think first, as a teammate, a guy on the team, your role changes constantly sometimes, maybe more than we would like, they would like. But when you have flexibility like that, the more things you can do, of course, the better it'll help our football team. And some of the names that you mentioned, Jake, Tony, the linebackers, Kalon Tolson, all those guys, really. Tariq Barnes has played both, and we've done the same thing along our defensive line. But we want guys that do have flexibility, have position flexibility. And when you get a couple of injuries, I mean, you have to go to it. In an ideal world, we would like to just lock everybody into one position. And now that we're getting guys back a little bit, I think we can get into more of what we thought we would look like when we initially started the season.
And you mentioned Chase Brown. He told us, the Wisconsin game, he said he was, maybe playing a little too fast. How have you seen him kind of settle in? And obviously it led to a career high game for him.
Well, I think it's interesting sometimes when guys tell you how they thought they played. I've never seen a player play too fast. Faster the better. And I just know that he's a good football player. He can make you miss in the open field. He's been patient, with just his entire time here, having to sit out all last year. But you got a chance to see what we've seen quite a bit behind the scenes of what we think Chase can do. And not just Chase, of course, the combination of Chase and Mike Epstein, both are excellent football players.
Thanks, Lovie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Doug, you're up. Alessandra on deck.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Coach. You were talking about Jake Hansen was your defensive player of the week. Jake, he moved outside, with the injury to Milo Eifler, made a lot of big plays on the edge and a sack. And, is outside linebacker a more natural position for him, or is he just a kind of player that's going to make plays no matter where you line him up at?
Well, just let me just go on the record and say this. Jake moving out to the outside had nothing to do with Milo Eifler. That we wanted to get Tariq Barnes on the field. And is that Jake's natural position? He's played better there for whatever reason. But I think that's not to say he didn't play good inside. I think wherever you put Jake Hansen, he's going to make plays and be a great player. But we needed those type of plays from him. He left an interception out there on the field this past week too. Let me throw that in there. There's still room for improvement from him. And hopefully the linebacker core can take another step this week.
Jeremy mentioned the tackling, and if you look at the stats, on PFF or whatnot, it does appear the team's a better tackling team this year. Jake's one of the top tacklers in the country. Is that a matter of maturity, you think, and something that they accomplished in the offseason in the weight room?
Oh, I think you can go to a lot of things. Did we work hard in the weight room? Yes. Are we a more mature football team? Yes. I mean, we've been practicing. We started all of a sudden more tackling drills right now? No. I mean, we put an emphasis on it always. And I think just older players, the maturity part of just we're supposed to be better at tackling. You're supposed to be better at everything as you get older. That's what we're anxious to see. As you get older, you're supposed to be able to not just win one game, to put, a couple games together. You're supposed to be able to go on the road and win 2 games. Instead of just getting one win. So all these things we're excited about seeing if we can take this next step. Tackling is better.
I'm sorry, Coach. Pass defense been kind of an Achilles heel for you this year. What'd you see in the last game against Rutgers? Was it improved? And do you see something where they're getting a little bit better each week?
Yeah, it was improved. When you give up 2 big plays, we give up a 4th and 3 for a touchdown pass. You're saying improvement? When you give up another long 3rd and 10 play, improvement, yeah, those are plays that we should make. That shouldn't happen. And we had another one that, we were in a basic coverage that we shouldn't have let them get behind us. What I can say is we'll continue to work on the pass coverage part, and hopefully we can eliminate some of these big plays. That's what's killing us right now, of playing good but giving up big plays that shouldn't be happening.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, Alessandra and Marley on deck. Go ahead, Alessandra.
Hey coach, coming off of this win and with all your players returning to from like COVID, do you feel everything's kind of coming together and this may be a turning point for your team?
Well, I hope so. I think you can say it's a turning point when you lost 3 and you win 1 on the road, when you're behind by 10 points. That has to give you momentum, confidence, all the things you would like to say. Getting all of our players back, yeah, we started the season, we wanted this group together, and for the most part, we have most of them back right now. So all those things absolutely have helped.
Okay, Marley, you're up, and go ahead, Marley.
Hey, Lovie, wanted to ask quickly about Trayvon Sidney. We're halfway through the season right now. Is he gonna get any action this year?
He's, he wasn't healthy enough to play last week, Marley. That's about all we know. He's getting better. I see him every day. He's getting treatment. He wasn't quite ready to go last week. This week, each week seemed like we're getting someone back. We'll see how it goes this week.
And going back to this just being the halfway point of the season, do you reflect back on, maybe the past couple of games and where do you hope to bring this team moving forward, given that there's just a few games left in the season?
Well, there's a few games left, but as I see it, we're just getting to the heart of our season right now. And we have an opportunity to put 2 wins together back to back. It seemed like Wisconsin game was a long time ago. We're better. We're the better football team now, and we need to be able to put it together 2 weeks in a row. It's kind of as simple as that. We're not at the half. Just think about a game. We're not at the halfway point of a game. Football is won in the second half always, and I see the same thing in the second half of your football season. You need to be playing your best ball. Of course, we played our best ball this last game, and I'm looking to take another step this week. We'll have to. I mean, Nebraska beat a Penn State team that was really searching for a win. So we'll need to play our best ball and clean up a lot of mistakes that we still made this past week.
Thank you, Lovie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a quick follow-up. There's just a quote from Scott Frost in his presser today where he said, I give Illinois credit for playing the games they've played despite missing some guys. I think that says a lot about who they are and who Lovie is. I don't know if you've addressed it, but did you consider at any point not playing? What he's referencing there is, I think it may be a little veiled, but he had another opponent cancel a game on him. So did you ever consider that over those games?
No, I hadn't. I don't look at, you look pretty deep, and I think in a few of the comments, but I just know that we had enough guys to play, and if we have enough guys to play, we'll continue to play. Now, the enough guys point is debatable always. We played a game with we played a couple games with our 4th-team quarterback. If it comes to that, we have enough guys, we're going to play. That's about all I know is that.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, and Matt, go ahead. This will be the last one.
Lovie, I wanted to ask you about Isaiah because obviously he was recruited nationwide, all over the country with some big time programs, but not everybody wanted him at quarterback. And it would seem like the obvious reason is height and size. And you've told me specifically that height and weight is completely overrated in your book. And can you talk to me about your philosophy of recruiting kids despite whatever they look at, whatever they're at physically right now in terms of height and weight? And it just doesn't seem to factor into what you do.
Well, I'm saying the same thing again. We've been talking a few times. Height and weight are overrated. And I've said strength isn't, but height and weight is. And as far as what we look at, just look at where our game has gone quarterback wise. You have to look at our league, the NFL. Do you have any small, short guys making plays right now? There's a guy at Arizona that plays pretty good football. He's not 6 feet. There's a guy in Seattle that's playing very good football. He's not 6 feet. I think it's a new day of what the quarterback position looks like. It's a smart, athletic guy that's a thrower that can throw balls, but that can make you miss an open field too. It's a different day with I think the new direction that we're going at the quarterback position. And for us, we have a guy that's in that same mold a little bit. Isaiah is smart. He can make you miss in the open field. Great quickness. And just look, this is the first time he's played, and you know, gave us a spark. Most defenses probably would like to play against a guy that stays in the pocket most of the time, and that's just not the case anymore.
Thanks, Lovie.
Well,
All right, Coach, thank you for your time today. We'll move on, and Coach Rod Smith is joining us for the next